I'm going to move on to the next, which is old business.
Great, I have plenty of old business. Where would you
Okay.
like me to start?
Oh, you want to start with yours? Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Do you still have room for one more public comment?
Yes, we do.
Paul Spencer. As I told you the last one of the meetings, I've attended these meetings now for over 10 years. In the process of trying to stop the building of a ridiculous building in Stone Arabia, I attended other meetings such as Nelson, the village of Nelson, the village of Palatine. I also attended meetings in Carlisle. I have quite a lot of knowledge of how these meetings go and run. I remember the Nelson meeting very, very clearly because there was quite a lot of opposition there that night because I was there to present my topic. I thought I did a very good job of presenting. There was a man there I didn't know at the time, and he had all kinds of questions and so on and so forth. And the meeting was held within good order. The mayor did an excellent job of order the meeting in order. But I remember telling the man at that meeting, I says, when I'm standing and I looked at him, and I says, this is the only place in public that you can say what you want to say. You can't do it in Albany, you can't do it in Washington, D.C. But I must have been wrong, right, Mr. Supervisor?
No, you're right.
Because it was in public. No, I actually had the floor at that time to make my presentation. And I said, this is the only place, your village, your townships, you even get a chance down in Montgomery County. It's a little bit, I've only done it a couple times down there. But this is the only place that we can actually say anything. Remember, you are the guardian of this take that Linda takes in every year, plus the sales tax and all that. You are our guardian of that monies. Not to be wasted, not to say that, well, you can't speak, and then I just watched you practically lay in your chair while a man was making a comment, like you could give a darn whether he was speaking or not. I would like your attention totally when I'm speaking. Yours, Sean's, Betty's, Mark, and Hank and Chris. The point is, it would be disastrous. I don't care, like somebody said, even for a minute, to eliminate public comment. Nobody has come to these meetings. Yes, we've had a few over the past. I can remember somebody said, boy, there's a lot of backpatting going on in our own town meeting. Yes, we had a good board. In the last 2 years, we had a real good board. The first 2 years, it possibly was ridiculous. We had men resign because he was afraid he was going to get sued. Then he ran again and got elected. And he acted up there like he's an expert. So therefore, do not, for your own good, do away with public comment. Thank you. Thank you. You don't need all this fancy stuff.
Paul, you didn't have any trouble laughing when they brought up anything that pertains to the town's garage and the men that work there and what they do and buying equipment. You repeat it over and over and over and over again. We get it. You're not to be singled out. There are other people that have issues too, but they don't keep going on and on and on. This is almost 10 years of this.
But Margaret, that's the right
Well,
of
there
a
are-
citizen
It
of our
is,
town.
but you get tired of hearing it
It's
and
not
other
whether
things.
it gets tired. It doesn't matter. Free speech is free speech.
Fine. But-
So let's
But it
remember
prevents
that.
us from moving forward with the
No, it
business that
doesn't.
needs to
We
be
can have a
handled.
working
Sarah
session.
left a mess. It's trying to be fixed.
Actually, whatever you believe is
Margaret.
whatever you believe.
And all the time that I ever spoke, I never repeated myself. I always brought a new, different word, granted,
Mighty.
different word.
I sat
Never
beside
did I
him
ever
for
repeat
10 years.
I'm sorry.
But Margaret, I'm defending your right to say it and come up and say what you want. And you said whatever you felt about Sarah, and I disagreed with some of the personal things, but I let you say it because it's your right to say it. Okay? And I'll die for that freaking right. Okay? And I'm not going to let this man stop the public from speaking for 1 second.
You didn't mind when Sarah walked out of a meeting and she was a supervisor.
You know
Where was
what?
the freedom of speech
It's her
there?
right to do whatever she wants to
All right,
do.
mine
We all
too.
have free will and rights, and that's what's
Let's
so
let the
wonderful about
next
this
coming
country.
election show what the
Well,
people here
it's-
really want.
You know what? It's
Can we
wonderful.
move
We had
on?
an election. It was great.
Could we
And
please move on? Let's
that's
move
up-
on.
That's up to
No,
supervisor, but there was public comment, and we're asking, and
We
you're
need to
answering the
move
public
on.
comment too.
Chris, there is no such thing as a New England meeting. This is a New York meeting.
You're
Open
proving
meeting
my
law.
point, Chris, every minute you sat here.
No, you're not proving your point. You know what you're proving? Okay?
Okay, the one comment I would like to make on what Mr. Spencer had to say. I am the chief executive officer of the town of Palatine. The guardian of the funds is the board. The only entity in this township that has a right to spend money is this board. Okay, are there any other comments? Yes.
Can I try to get a laugh out of somebody if there's any left in this town? The New England Town Meeting thing, he said, reminded me of something. Now, when I write something, I try to keep it cleaned up. Even when I wrote about my neighbor's spreader, I didn't put the word manure or the other word before it. And I was going to try that, but I'll tell you about a New England Town Meeting very shortly. There was, I believe it was in Vermont, and I think it really did happen. They began to discuss building a bridge over a little stream. And they said, well, how much would it cost? Well, it would cost $1,000. And this one old guy says, $1,000? I could pee halfway across that stream. And the moderator struck the mallet, and he says, you're out of order. He said, I know you are. I know I am, because if I wasn't, I could pee all the way across.
There you go.
That's a
Thank you,
New England
Skip.
Town meeting for you.
Thank you, Skip.
One other comment I think is necessary to make for me here. I compare this to the state government, and I compare it to the federal government. And those that study constitutional law will appreciate the separation of powers between the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. I had a lot of respect for that, and then I got involved with a town. And now I realize the town is much more tender than our senior partners in this governing enterprise. The town should be closer to the people. I realize giving you energy and giving you food for thought, but this government is the closest thing you have to you. It is making rules and laws that apply to you. Because of that, I don't like cutting off the public comment. But in this case, where this has been adrift for so long, you realize we have a very difficult budget situation, which in 3 months, I gotta have some answers to. There is so much to do to put this back together. I keep shrinking it, making it smaller, trying to get less chaff or whatever to interfere with the business that we have to do. Tonight is a classic example. We can't conduct business this way. I want to be closer to the people. I want to allow the people to speak. And I think we can come up with rules that are appropriate. There are 931 other towns, and they don't stay on the front page of the paper like this one does for the length of time that this one does. There's something wrong here. It's got to be fixed. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I am saying I have a way I want to proceed. And I have a board here that has a lot of work to do. I have been looking through the law and looking at what a supervisor is capable of doing with a budget and what the town board is supposed to be doing. There is going to be a lot of interaction and a lot of negotiating and a lot of political disagreements. I can handle that with the board. That's a natural process that this form of government calls for. When you interject all the opinions of all the people and don't give the elected officials who were elected to do the job a chance to do the job, it won't get done. We have 4 years of that now. I gotta move on. I said I was gonna do my best to straighten this mess out. And if I have no support, you can't be a leader if you don't have any followers. You might just as well drive on. And I have a lot of suggestions in that area. If you want, I'll sit out there. I can give a couple of suggestions, and I'm gonna head for home. All right? That's my beef. That's my deal. Anybody have anything else? This is public comment night tonight.
Can I just say something?
Yes?
I think we should give Bill a chance at what he's got in mind, at least see where it goes. I mean, something's gotta change from the past. I mean, nothing got better from the past 4 years. That's why Bill got elected. I think he's a smart man, and I think we should just give him a chance, and if it doesn't work, then we can always
I
go
can
back.
go on home.
We
You can
change
send
it.
me home for the next election. That's okay. That's the process.
So Betty, you believe that the public doesn't have a right to speak?
I'm
even
not
for one
saying that,
meeting?
and he's not saying that.
Hold it,
What's
hold
that?
it.
He
Hold it.
didn't say that.
Read the resolution. It says we're going to stop public comment with no specific period of time until we develop a set of rules. So you're saying that
Maybe
it's
Bill can
okay?
give us a time then.
No,
if
no,
he's
no,
got
no, no.
money.
You're saying you're okay with that. That's what you just said.
I
Please.
think we should he wants to make some changes to it, and he said he was gonna bring it back.
So-
He's not saying it's gonna take 6 months or a year.
Wait a minute. So-
And he did mention at one of the last meetings that it would be 30 days. I think he.
So having a workshop and setting the rules forth at a work session is not okay for you. It's a full-blown resolution to stop public comment. Stop the people that voted for you
He's
just a
not
few
saying-
months ago.
He's not saying to stop it completely.
It says to stop public comment. Read it. It says to stop
Chris,
public
Chris,
comment.
you shouldn't be waiving papers, but Betty, you're going to be voting on the papers, not the words. So I would encourage you to look at the resolution and make your vote on that, because it is an
Then
important.
let's add to the resolution a time frame.
I have no problem with that.
And then the resolution, so at least Chris and everybody knows that you're not taking it away entirely, completely.
Well, I'll go one step further with you. I'll tell you what my vision is for how this will play out. There is a subtle change here between allowing public comment and the public being able to comment anytime they want. All right? It's at the board's pleasure, which somebody quoted the manual, at our pleasure, the domestic home rule. All right? It's at our pleasure whether we allow the comment or not. We can restrict the comments to the items that are on the table. We can restrict the items that are brought by the public. We can write all kinds of restrictions. But that's not my vision. My vision is, I left public comment in my outline, all right? And all I was gonna do was make a little speech next month and say, as long as we're all civil and the discussion is pertinent, let's try going without any rules and see what happens. And then we'll have maybe 3 or 4 months worth of experience, and we will know what we're going to experience. And both these people out here and the people on the board will have a better idea of whether we indeed need rules, and if we do need rules, what kind of rules we need. That's my vision for where this is going. You'll note I didn't take that out, did I? I left it right there. That was my speech for next month. So you'll have to hang on if we do all right here today and live with it. Yes?
Is that your vision or your promise?
Well, either way.
There is a difference.
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying next
Your
month we'll
promise,
enact
no,
rules.
but you're promising that you
That's
will
right.
bring it back
I'll
fairly
promise you,
soon.
I'll give you a rule, I don't care what you want. But that's my vision for how this should work out. Now, if I drop my pants right down around my ankles and say, wow, it's okay, folks, we're gonna limit everybody to 5 minutes, and they give me a speech about Timbuktu, it's gonna restrict our time, it's gonna restrict the flow of ideas, it's not going to work.
You're right. I didn't like the idea of doing away with it first, but I think you're
First
good-hearted with
Amendment
this.
is near and dear to you. I'll tell you one more thing that went on here. When you came to my house and made your speech, which it's your right to do,
Yes.
all right? I made up my mind then. I had made a mistake. That was the first resolution I felt so strongly about. I made my phone calls to see who was going to vote what way. And I was promised one thing and delivered another. All right? My principles don't change under fire. All right? You saw it and you said it when you got back in your car. Well, I suppose, right? That's the way I am. There's hard principles that I will not negotiate. And that's one of them. The law manual is specific, and this board at some time, probably 15, 20 years ago, gave the public the right to speak. I want the public to be able to speak at our pleasure. There is a difference.
I've known for a long time that you didn't have to give us that right. You don't have to
That's
legally
right.
have it.
Well, it's the
But
local home
thing
rule,
that
and the board
bothers
did
me
it.
in your resolution is all future board meetings until the board promulgates new rules for public comment. That could be 5 years. If you limited to 2 months.
If I go 5 years, I guess they won't reelect me, will they?
I don't think that's the important thing here. The town and how it runs after over 200 years is the important thing.
That's right.
I've seen a lot of supervisors here in the last 70 years that I've lived in this town. And I think you're doing a good job. I'm just
Well,
saying
thank you.
that I think you ought to try to make people realize, hey, we aren't going to leave this public comment out forever. We're going to put it back in a reasonable length of time. And that doesn't say that.
We have a representative government, and these are the elected.
If you recall, Brian Sweet stopped public comment for a short period of time when he was.
I'd like to say one thing.
Sure.
And we're not getting involved with this public comment thing. I just wanted to agree with John. There is a lot of work that's got to be done yet. There's a records room that hasn't been taken care of in over 8 years. You know, obviously the building got squashed, so be it. But do we still have the same problem? Sarah said she was gonna take care of it, did not get done. You know, obviously this building's a shambles. It's so unenergy efficient that it's costing us a fortune in bills. And here we are, I'm gonna estimate we roughly just wasted an hour of time, and what did we get accomplished? Absolutely nothing. Because of all the fighting and arguing and bickering. Obviously, yes, you guys elected us up here, that's great. I thank each and every one of you. But again, let us do our job, let us get these things done that need to get done.
Absolutely.
You know, obviously, I'm one of 5, Betty's one of 5, Hank, Chris, Bill. You know, we're all gonna have different opinions every time, but that's, we're here to work it out and work it out
They're doing
respectfully.
nothing for the last 10 years.
And that's what we're trying to do.
No panic button, no nothing.
So, that's my piece.
Agree.
Okay, let's move on to the public comment section of the meeting, resolution number 51.
I'm sorry, Mr. Supervisor, you were on old business. I had some old business.
Okay.
I went to do it that.
All right.
Okay, just a couple of things. We had a workplace violence trainer, and we are supposed to have a class every January. We're 4 months overdue on that class, and we have to find someone who's got the ability to train us, especially with new members back on the board. Did you do that, Sean? Did you?
Mine is good until, that's if I can carry it over from the county level.
I understand.
I believe mine is good, they hold it in It's either September, October, I'm not sure. But obviously we're overdue, so let me get a hold of our personnel director and she can, if we can find somebody, or I'm sure it's gonna be at a cost to the town.
Well, we got dinged last time when we had a project that we didn't post our workplace violence and
Right.
we didn't do our
Yes.
training. And I don't want it to happen to us
Okay.
again, so.
I just got in my office from Personnel Concepts, new rules and regulations that took effect in January. And in that is the workplace violence training. And we have to, I would like you to look at that, Sean, if you're familiar with that. You look at that, and we have to let them know that we are abiding by this, or we will be penalized.
Okay.
There's a whole new,
We're working on it.
we're working
Well,
on
I
it
just
right
wanted to
now.
bring it up because we didn't,
What
we're
I'm
overdue. and I
gonna
know-
see if we can do too is, we might overlap, but when the county holds theirs, maybe we can jump on board and piggyback right off of them.
Right. I mean, it's pretty simple, but I just wanna make
Right.
sure we get it.
No,
because
it's an annual
We
training.
got fined, well, they were gonna fine us last time, that's the one thing they cited, that we didn't have that policy
Yes.
or our training.
No, it's an annual training regardless. You have to have it done every year.
Okay, we had a letter in January in our packets that, on the discussion of the speed limit change request for Hickory Hill and Stone Arabia Roads to do a traffic study, and I don't know what happened since January, does anybody have any word on that?
What were the roads again, Chris?
Hickory Hill and Stone Arabia.
What part of Hickory Hill?
Well, there was a resolution passed, that they were gonna do a traffic study and talk about
No, you requested a traffic study.
we,
The Department of Transportation sent back a letter addressed to Linda.
To me.
okay.
I don't know what kind of a letter went to the state that resulted in a letter being sent to Linda. So if you would favor the rest of the board with the correspondence that went to the state, we would know what to do.
I didn't send anything to the state, we
How
brought
did you say
a,
you?
we brought a resolution, it passed 4 to
I
1.
got a copy of it.
Okay, it passed 4 to 1, and then it went to your boss over at the county, and he
Okay.
had to stamp it and sign it, and he moved it on.
Okay, so he probably sent it to the state, I would assume.
Okay.
Because if they wanted us to do the traffic study, which was under, obviously put out traffic count, we wouldn't be able to do that until the snow was off the roads.
Right. And I guess it's either we could do it, or we could designate a firm to do it for a fee if it goes quicker. I don't know what I mean by we, the county could do it, or they can designate a firm,
I
I
can
guess,
check
to
on
do
it.
it. So, I just know that was pending for quite a while. And then,
I have a little discussion on that item.
okay, go ahead, sure.
I wonder why we're requesting a speed limit on a county road, number one. And number two, with all this other stuff on our plate, do we want to get involved with something like that? And number three, from what I'm reading in town publications, that's a rather recent piece of legislation whereby a town can request speed limit changes in congested areas. However, what the state is doing in most cases is turning around and saying to the town, okay, the study's gonna be X amount of dollars. If you would like to proceed, let us know. And those number of dollars at the low end seem to be around $60,000. I would ask for clarification on that before we go any further with that thing.
Well, that's fine, just so you're aware, because it was before you took
Yes.
office.
I have a copy of the resolution.
Okay, well, that resolution was brought because we had there was a meeting with Amanda Bearcroft, a number of people from the state, and about the agricultural,
Nature.
the agricultural nature of the town. We had about 30, Betty was there, right, Betty? You were up at the town barn. We had about 30 attendees, and they cited the number one problem besides high taxes, which we can't do much about with the state level, was that traffic was an issue, and that there were, and it was expressed also with our Amish community, that there were a lot of near misses, that there were some issues between farm equipment and vehicles and a number of other things, and they asked, could we take a look at that? So we passed to take a look and see where we went on that.
just keep in mind, and I mean, keep an open mind about this, as years progress and roads get better, it is, because I've been in this business 25 years, it has been my knowledge that we can't control the way people drive. I see it day in and day out, people going around my road closure signs that my foreman's put out. I even got one person that called up and says, you don't have no advance warning signs out. They just drove right around the road closed ahead sign. Drove right around it. We don't have no advance warning signs out.
That road in particular, 60 to 80 miles an hour seems to be the norm. And what I have done already is call the sheriff's department and ask them if they couldn't patrol it a little more frequently. And us asking for speed limit variations there,
And it's still
we
not.
have no way of enforcement.
Yeah, and I get, I gotta agree with Bill. You can put up all the speed limit signs you want, you're not gonna control the way people drive, unless there's a deputy there that physically catches them.
Well, maybe that's what it might have lead.
Well,
You know, we don't,
because of the simple fact,
How's your battery?
when I put up a
It's
road
doing
closed
good.
sign, we're working on a road and we put up a road closed sign. If somebody goes around that, that is a strict ticket for disobeying a traffic control device. With that barricade in the middle of the road. 3-panel barricade with a sign that's black on white, black lettering on white background. That's basically, there is no basic about it. It's disobeying a traffic control device. We were told, get the plate number, sheriff of all. You know what the sheriff told me? I can go talk to him, but that's all I can do. I cannot issue him a ticket because
Didn't
I
see
did
it.
not physically see him do it. So I'm just saying, I mean, it's fine, we can do the traffic study if the money allows it and, or the county can share the services with it, but it's not gonna solve the problem.
well.
It really,